Previously on Land of the Free.
Sufer is the executive director of the charity Abundant Blessings and was given tens of millions of dollars in funds between 2018 and 2025 to feed and house roughly 600 individuals across the greater LA area. That meant providing 3 nutritious meals a day. Instead, the assistant U.S. attorney Bill Asaley alleges Sufer gave them this microwavable ramen.
This is what he was providing. Ramen noodles and a microwave.
Greetings, good people. I hope all is well. I hope all is well with you all. Quick video today. I just wanted to share a story with you guys out of California that sounds eerily familiar, very similar to the stories that we cover out of Minnesota involving the fraud of social services programs. While the players and the locations are different, the fraud technique seems nearly identical. Let's jump into it right quick.
A charity director from Westwood has been arrested after federal authorities say he stole millions slated to help the homeless.
They say he lined his pockets instead. KTLA 5's Corrine Winter live in the newsroom with the details. Corrine?
Well, Sam and Glenn, the Homelessness Fraud and Corruption Task Force announcing this huge arrest today. Officials say that the executive director at the center of this case misused taxpayer funds intended to help some of LA's most needy individuals. He's accused of living the high life to the tune of $23 million instead of using public and taxpayer funds to help the homeless. That's according to federal and local officials who this morning arrested 42-year-old Alexander Sufer of Westwood at his multi-million-dollar home.
He lied to investigators when confronted. He provided fake invoices to make it appear that the payments to third vendors were legitimate. They were not.
Sufer is the executive director of the charity Abundant Blessings and was given tens of millions of dollars in funds between 2018 and 2025 to feed and house roughly 600 individuals across the greater LA area. That meant providing 3 nutritious meals a day. Instead, the assistant U.S. attorney Bill Asaley alleges Sufer gave them this microwavable ramen.
This is what he was providing. Ramen noodles and a microwave. What? And he was pocketing the rest of the money. The money was not intended for ramen noodles to be microwaved and fed to the homeless. He was supposed to provide nutritious meals. He pocketed the rest of the money. He probably spent $100 you see in that picture, and he pocketed the rest of the money.
Quick pause right here. This is nearly exactly what we saw out of Minnesota. Fraudsters target a social services assistance program because they're ridiculously funded as well as slow and cumbersome in finding and catching abuse. And in both instances, the fraudsters sign up, begin fabricating services rendered in order to be paid by the state services. And by the time anybody checks, they're living the high life of millions of taxpayers' dollars. And those that are in need of services still end up needing services.
Sufer allegedly lied to the Los Angeles Homeless Service Authority on how he was directing the money.
This is a case full of lies, deceit, and pilfering money intended on addressing one of the most prolific problems in Los Angeles County.
There's not just a federal investigation, but one at the local level that District Attorney Nathan Hochman outlined. The DA's office conducted an independent parallel investigation with the U.S. Attorney's Office, with both having overlapping jurisdiction in this case. At the federal level, Sufer is facing wire fraud charges. At the local level, his charges include forgery, where he faces up to 17 years in prison.
Rather than admit that he did something wrong and hand the money back, he doubled down on his crimes. First stating that he actually provided this money. Then he tripled down on his crimes, submitting fake invoices. And when he's confronted by the auditors about the fake invoices, he quadruples down and submits different fake invoices.
Here's a snippet from court documents related to medical transport fraud out of Minnesota. Built the program through their agency, Promise Health Services, LLC. Promise claimed to provide home and community-based services, but it lacked any building and operated for years out of a freaking mailbox. The co-conspirators fraudulently obtained Medicaid funds by billing for services not provided. Services were billed based on false documentation. Services were overbilled. Services were billed but lacked any documentation to support the services, and kickback provided to recipients to induce them to receive services quotations from the agency.
Investigators provided photos of some of the high-priced items Sufer got for himself and family, including the purchase of a $7 million Westwood home, a $125,000 Range Rover, luxury vacation trips to places like Hawaii and Florida. Other expenses included private school tuition for his kids and a nearly $500,000 vacation home in Greece.
Oh my God, the fraudsters cannot resist the luxury purchases and trips as if they've earned these experiences through skill and hard work. You stole them, get bent.
Officials say they've investigated 2 other alleged fraud cases regarding funds meant for the homeless that were misused, with these defendants also facing steep charges. Now we have reached out to the Los Angeles Homeless Service Authority for comment. They have not yet responded. Sufer is expected to make an initial court appearance in Santa Ana sometime this afternoon. That's the very latest in the newsroom. I'm Corrine Winter. Sam and Glenn will send it back to you now in the studio.
Anyway, should our social services departments have more nimble processes in detecting fraud and protecting the taxpayers' dollars? Engage and let me know. Until next time, peace and stay informed.